Hey guys, long time no see. So, I've been working on this next video for a while. I think I started it back sometime around October 22nd, and I've been working on it non-stop up till now. Originally, I wanted to drop it on Halloween, but thanks to a mix of my camera not working right, my environment being not optimal, and the big crux of the project, Premiere being absolutely hot garbage, just it got pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and I just tried to salvage what I could. So I believe I made a pretty coherent video out of that mess of multiple reshoots, redos, and just absolute insanity that made me want to pull out every single follicle of hair that I have. But I hope you enjoy, and I hope that it isn't nearly as bad as I perceive it to be, simply due to the frustration that I had to deal with getting it to where it is now. So, yeah, thanks for being patient, and after this, my Dune video will be coming to you very, very soon. Thanks! Alright, guys, so I got a pop quiz for you. Best, brownie points to those who answer it correctly. What is a kite? I think you've had enough time. The quick and easy answer is a fur ball with poison needles and a lot of teeth. Easiest answer I can give you. For this Halloween, we are going to talk about a movie that may not be super scary or super gory, but one that is close to my heart and one from the deep pits of my childhood. We're going to be talking about 1986's Critters. Critters came in the footsteps of Gremlins, which, a lot of movies did. It was a really big fad in the late 80s to copy the success of Gremlins and try to make it their own. But my only other notable favorite of this little fad was Ghoulies, and even that didn't last very long. Although I will mention that the director of this movie, Stephen Herrick himself, denies the similarities between Critters and Gremlins, stating so much even to the fact that Critters and Gremlins were being written at the same time and they had to do several rewrites to try to get rid of some of the similarities between the two. But the validity of that statement isn't really proven, so take it as you will, I guess. Among other creators that worked on this movie, the Critters were designed and created by the Kyoto brothers, who are responsible for another one of my favorites, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is a pretty big cult classic at this point, but they are also really well known for the animation in Elf. Another one of my top however many movies. It's certainly up there. But the Kyoto brothers know what they're doing visuals wise, and this movie really shows that. It excels in the visuals department. Even, if it is your average 80s B movie monster romp. Now, the premise of Critters is pretty easy to follow. It's pretty simple. And it is as follows. Alien intergalactic war criminals escape from their asteroid prison planet and are followed on their tails by two bounty hunters sent after them by Jabba the Hutt's off-brand dollar store cousin. Damn. And these bounty hunters have very important names that are mentioned throughout the movie. Not really. Their names are Ugg and Lee. Take a minute to let that settle. Now, our boys Ugg and Lee are not your standard run-of-the-mill intergalactic bounty hunters. They have one trait that keeps them separate from all the rest, which is green screen face. And by green screen face, I mean they have the ability to transform into whatever creature they see fit. Whatever helps with the mission, they will do it. Unless they don't feel like it. We'll get to that in a second.
Transform.
Nothing likes me.
Find something.
Now, I gotta fucking admit, I know I'm gonna say this a lot throughout this video, but the visuals are absolutely amazing for their time. The transformation scene with the bounty hunters in the beginning of the movie just hits you with this visual splendor of this face melting and then reconstructing itself back up to fit the form of a new human face. Which, by the way, the whole music video and music section of this, I personally love. I even loved it as a kid, but I've heard a lot of people say that it's really cringy or really lame or whatever. I think Power of the Night fucking rocks. But that's just me, I guess. Now, after that fucking amazing face melting scene with sick ass music to back, we immediately go to meet our human characters, which I'm just going to speed through all this so we can get to the action. Because while I do love this movie, and I feel like it is a great watch, this whole period of the movie is very, very slow pace, with characters that are very two-dimensional, that you don't really give a shit about. I mean, you kind of do towards the end, but at this stage of the game, you really could give less of a shit about these people. They're just people. Except for Charlie. Charlie is precious, and I will protect him with my fucking life. Watch it. Now, the centerpiece of this movie is the Brown family and their, residents, and their whole trouble with the Krites. And I'm not going to sit down and edit and chop up and give you this whole bit of character progression and build up while we wait for the actual shit to happen. So I'm just going to give you them as basic as they can be and how they should be presented. Boy, girl, mom, dad. Yep, pretty basic. That's all there is to it. And, since it's a 80s B-movie romp, you gotta have that one plot thread of the girl has a boyfriend, and the boyfriend doesn't like the parents, and the parents don't like the boyfriend, and it's really awkward, and they're talking about how well the food is, and they're just wanting to leave and make out, and it's just super, super awkward, and But it's, you had to have these types of plot threads in these movies, because I mean, shit, that was half the demographic that these types of movies were aiming to hit. The group of kids that were, looking for something to watch at the drive-in so they can have a few moments of privacy so they could do whatever they were wanting to do, while also being able to look up at the screen and go, holy shit, that guy's getting eaten alive, isn't that sick? And then go right back to what they were doing. And shit, I guess it worked. We got 3 other sequels after this, so they must have done something right in that regard. So skipping a bunch of the plot and stuff and building up these human characters, what essentially happens is the Krites leave their prison, they're being followed, they crash land on this farm, they're hungry, and they need fuel and food. So they go out to the nearest place, which is the Brown family's farm. So, there's your setup. Extremely simple and extremely easy to follow. And a lot of fun can be had in that. And there is a lot of fun. From the first moment you meet the Krites, they're just so absolutely lovable and cute, but also at the same time vicious as all hell and super, super hungry and armed more than one would think. Like, these furballs not only have thousands of teeth to eat the shit out of you with, They got poison dart needles built into their fucking back. These guys are deadly and loaded, and I love them. They are the pinnacle part of this movie, which should be the case since they got the fucking name after them. So the scene plays out as one would expect. Dad gets bit, dad fights back, dad falls, dad's hurt, kid panics. The mom holds him back because the mom in this movie, halfway through it, is a fucking moron for no real reason. But whatever, I guess it fits her character. So they get the dad out of there, he doesn't die, and as they're taking him inside and getting away from these newfound monsters, the brother hears his sister in the barn, where her and her BF were getting, down and dirty to some sick 80s jams. He hears her cries of disturbance and he runs to the rescue, armed with nothing but a sick-ass lighter and some cherry bombs. But then again, when you're fighting little tiny furballs, I don't really know what else you'd need other than, a set of explosives. Unless, they eat that sort of thing. And I'm not going to front you, fam. That was one of my favorite scenes as a kid. I would rewatch that scene constantly. I thought it was fucking hysterical. And I still think it is. The effect is just so well done. And fun fact, that scene is noted as being one of the hardest to do on set because of how much articulation it took to get the puppet to eat the cherry bomb, have its stomach expand, and have its eyes move. Because the eyes have a little bit of a digital touch-up, but the rest of it is purely practical. And that is insane to me for how much of a stupid gag it is. I fucking love it. So the boyfriend's dead, the kids make a run for it, and they meet back up at the house. And I wanted to mention this. The critters are not dumb animals, as most sci-fi monsters are. They are intelligent, speaking creatures. They talk, and they have subtitles and dialogue. And this wasn't originally in the film. They just talked in this garbled speech they have, but we have no idea what they're saying. And some of the people on set fought hard as hell to keep the subtitles in when they put them in during testing. And whenever they did it with one specific scene. They showed it to the director, and he said, "Do it, keep it, let's do it." And by God, was that such a good idea, because it is absolutely my favorite scene in the movie. And Jesus Christ, it just makes everything in this movie just exceed to the next level. I thank God every day for that scene. So, while all this was happening, you remember those bounty hunters I mentioned earlier? Because, oh yeah, they're back. They land on Earth not too long after the critters start fucking things up on the farm, and the first thing they find is a crashed cop car from one of the characters and his dead corpse from the critters. I didn't really mention it earlier because it's not very important. It's whatever, it's a side scene. But what is important is Ugg got his face, the super rock star that's totally 80'd out, but Lee does not have a face. So, he just takes it off the corpse. And he still looks like a corpse, which I've always found to be really funny. The humor in this movie is really all over the place. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's in your face, but because it doesn't take itself too seriously, it all works. and I love it. Every time the joke lands, it lands really well. And it just, to quote Todd Howard, it just works. So the bounty hunters get in the car, and they don't know how to drive, so they just start driving it backwards. But they also don't know what a gun is for some reason. So they accidentally blow the ceiling off with a shotgun locked in the fucking cop car. Just, oh, so wacky. And they only get wackier because where are they going? Baby, they're taking a trip straight to town. And it's going to be wild. One of the first places that they visit in town is the local church. And they, drive up really smooth and calmly, as bounty hunters tend to do. After that, they go in, meet the locals, collect information. It goes super smoothly. Even Lee finds a new face. And this one looks a lot less corpse-like. Realizing there are no rolling balls of terror and death, chilling out in the church, they slowly back away and make their way to their next location, going to continue their backwards driving only to realize that they can drive forward. What absolute legends. They end up pulling up to the Bolo Rama Lanes, which is holding a tournament, which is currently being held back for the fact that the father of the Brown family isn't there to take part in the tournament. I wonder what could be holding him up. So Ugg and Lee strut on in, looking around, collecting information, breaking shit, things that Ugg and Lee tend to do. And then they end up getting up into the bar. Now, for me as a kid, the bar scene had one of my favorite lines in the movie. Every time I would hear it, I would just say it to myself in my head, because, oh my god, it just reeked of what made a badass a badass.
Keep your shirt on, asshole.
Yeah, for some reason in this scene, Lee takes a liking to the face of Charlie. And, Charlie being the drunken, nearly schizophrenic, paranoid, delusional maniac he is, gets pretty reasonably freaked the fuck out. Pretty fair response. So Ugg and Lee do what Ugg and Lee do best and start shooting the place up. And I mean absolutely going to town, just creating a massive scene of panic, which tends to follow in their wake. But it's been a little bit since we've checked on our friends the Brown family and their little critter infestation. I wonder how that could be going right now. I know I've already said it, but the critters are the absolute heart and soul of this movie. Every time that they are on screen is just an absolute joy to behold. Just even the smallest little bit of chaos, like the moment with the one critter chilling with the E.T. plushie and trying to talk to it and then just ripping its head off. Just moments like that really flesh these little monsters out and just makes them all the more endearing. And they just nailed it with the design of them. The puppet work is really good. It doesn't have to be overly flashy. And they can have fun with this new little neat design. And I really like that. I feel kind of almost blasphemous saying it, but I kind of like the critters more than I like the gremlins. I don't know what it is. It's just the simpler little design of this fuzzball of pure death. Just hits home with me, I guess. I don't know if that's just because I have really fucked up taste, or maybe I just like really cheesy movies, but I've always kind of liked the critters a little bit more. So after a few moments of pure critter carnage, we see the Brown family after, going around their house with their shotgun, blasting critters to bits left and right. They barricade themselves up in one of the main rooms on the top floor. And honestly, they're all pretty fucked up. Both the parents got hit, the dad more so than the mom, but things start looking kinda bleak, so they make the one logical choice they can make. They send the boy out to find help on his own.
See you, chump.
Get your ass back here!
Now, I do gotta agree, that's the best option they have because they're currently all super fucked up. I'm just saying, maybe send them out a little bit more prepared.
Take this.
Nah, you keep it. It just slow me down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the boy makes a run for it, and guess who the first people he runs into are? It's your boys, Ugg and Lee, back to save the day in their really shitty cop car.
Come on, go! Dad's all torn up and Mom's got like a harpoon thing in her neck and they're getting bigger.
So they talk for a bit, threaten each other for a bit, and then the kid leads them off back to the Brown house. And we finally get the scenes we've been waiting for. Bounty Hunter on critter action, baby. And damn does it deliver. Just back-to-back scenes of just destruction and carnage and Krite hunting abound. It is spectacular. I especially love the scene where they go to the bathroom and they find one in the toilet. Fucking extraordinary. I can't get over how good some of these scenes are, and the destruction is just so well done. But it gets even better, trust me. So the bounty hunters clear out the house, and before they can finish the job, a massive critter apparently breaks out of the window, runs downstairs, and steals the sister.
It just grabbed her. I couldn't do it. It was huge.
Come on, Harv!
They took it that way.
And just runs off. So, the next logical step is to follow their footsteps until they find them. It's one of those movies, folks. We cannot leave anybody behind, no matter how unprepared we are. So, the boy ends up beating everybody to the giant ship the critters have stowed away on, in the middle of the field near the house. And guess who he finds on his way there? Our drunken friend Charlie, still probably shit-faced and still probably lost. But he's just happy to be here.
What are you doing here?
I'm just following my team. I'm getting signals like crazy.
The two climb in the ship and use their only weapon against the critters, and this movie's favorite weapon, cherry bombs. But before they can light the fuse, they have to leave the ship immediately. But Charlie's got one idea left up his sleeve.
I dropped my firecracker! Oh, forget him! But they'll get away! Charlie, come on!
Fred, I got an idea. Come here. Give me your fire.
Fred! Fred, come on!
With a flick of Charlie's wrist, his alcohol is turned into a usable, flammable weapon and is tossed into the ship, finally sparking the fuse of the cherry bomb and setting things in motion for the critter's final demise. They take off, they fly over, and in one last move of pure assholery, they press the big red button. I cannot overstate how fucking cool the house detonation scene was when I was young. Oh my god, my head exploded because it was a full-on huge building, an actual real building, just gone like that. Absolutely mind-blowing as a kid. And it's still solid today. Just the work that went into the visuals of this movie and all of the effects is just so good. And it all works to this movie's benefit just incredibly well. But that's not the last explosion of the movie. That's saved for the little furry bastards themselves. And thus we bring the movie Critters to an end. The Krites are dead, the bounty hunter's job is done, and it's time to leave. But we cannot leave on a sad ending, so we must use the happy ending-inator to fix what we messed up on, which was a poorly received ending in test audiences.
Chewie? Chewie.
That should do the trick nicely. And just to be safe, sequel bait. Yeah, it should come to no surprise. Critters had quite a few sequels and even a few modern reboots, which we might get to at some point very soon. I really want to do a full series overview at some point, but the more I started watching them, the more I realized that the subsequent films weren't very notable, I guess. Well, no, except two. Yeah, no, two fucking rocks. I apologize if this video is all over the place or a bit scattered and zany, but I wanted to talk about a different type of movie for Halloween this year. Not one that was super spooky or a classical horror as we've kind of done with Color Out of Space and Nosferatu, but I wanted to talk about something that I grew up on and a movie that I view very fondly and I feel like has a few very important moments in horror movie culture. And just to talk about some fun little critters, you know? If you haven't seen Critters 1 or 2, I do recommend them. 3 is okay. It's Leonardo DiCaprio's first movie ever, so if you're into him as an actor, I do recommend checking it out. It is a pretty neat experience. You don't have to watch 4. I'll just say that now. You really don't. You don't have to watch the new series either. Please don't watch the new series. Sweet Lord, spare yourself that suffering. But I guess we'll end that here. I hope you have a fantastic Halloween and get shitloads of candy. So go eat that shit. Go fuck your teeth up and ruin your dentist's next few months. Have a good one. Be spooky. I will see you guys very soon. Like, comment, subscribe. Do whatever you want with all that. Have a good one.